Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us. My name is Patrice Pratt, and I'm with NALA. And Sarah Jeffries is here with us as well, and she is also with NALA. And we'd like to welcome you to this live stream panel discussion. So you've graduated, now what? I trust you'll find this NALA panel discussion of value as you prepare for and you launch into your paralegal career. It's our hope that you find this discussion informative and that you'll participate in future NALA presentations and discussions I just got a notice, right? As NALA offers a variety of educational opportunities that will meet any stage of your paralegal career. You can find a complete schedule of live and demand webinars and learn more about becoming a NALA member on our website at www.nala.org. All registered participants today will be muted, but at any time during today's discussion, you can submit a question in the chat bar. Our goal is to address all your questions today as time allows. This live stream panel is being recorded, and NALA will make the recording available on our NALA, the Paralegal Association, YouTube channel. We are all very fortunate to have three fabulous panel facilitators and rock star panelists. When it comes to advocating for paralegal, lifelong professional development and advancement of the paralegal profession, these are the folks you want to know. Please welcome Christine Custodio Serrero, Kayla Calros, and Cheryl Laros with us today. You can find bios of all of our facilitators and all of our panelists today in the handout section of the event. Let's get started. Christine?
Yes, thank you so much. I would. Thank you so much, Patrice. Thank you, NALA, for hosting this amazing panel of very esteemed speakers. By way of introduction, again, my name is Christine Custodio Serrero, ACP, and I am a senior paralegal and business development director for a law firm here in San Diego, California, where I am right now. And I also serve as adjunct faculty for the University of San Diego. I teach the Introduction to Law class, and it has really proved to be almost my calling. It really has shown me why I have had all of these experiences and met all these phenomenal people in my career so that I can find myself educating and advocating and motivating and encouraging future rockstar paralegals. I also serve on NALA's Professional Development Committee. My father used to call me a professional volunteer. I love, love, love serving others and helping others along their path to find their calling, their purpose, their authentic selves. So I'm gonna hand this off really quickly and have Kayla and Cheryl introduce themselves just briefly.
Sure. Hi, I'm Kayla Glaros, CP ACP. I have a weird title. I am a senior associate paralegal, which throws off everyone in the legal world, for RSM US, which is a global audit, tax, and consulting firm. I am also a professional development committee member and an adjunct professor at St. Petersburg College teaching law office management.
And Cheryl?
Here's what I find. I'm Cheryl Nadarse, ACP from Mid-Michigan, and I am a paralegal for a firm, a very, very, very small law firm, where we handle real estate, municipal, governmental matters. And I am currently in my office, which is in my home. This was one of those COVID results that has turned into a full-time placement, which is awesome. While I have the platform, I'm going to just jump in really quickly. You are going to hear today about the importance of networking, and I'm here to tell you that there is no better way to network with other paralegals around the country than at NALA's National Conference and Expo, which is set for less than a month from now at in Phoenix, Arizona at the JW Marriott Desert Ridge Resort and Spa, July 14th through 16th, and there's still time to register.
And we have both hybrid and in-person opportunities, which is fantastic. We've had record-breaking numbers at this conference, and I implore you, all of you attendees and people who are watching this on demand, please do register. It is really a transformative experience, especially for new paralegals. While I'm on the topic of transformative experiences, I'm going to start, because all of you have access to everyone's bio, I'm just going to do a little bit of a bio that I know personally. I know these panelists personally. And the first one I'm going to start with is Maureen Washington, ACP. And I'm starting with her because the title of this panel is So You've Graduated, Now What, right? And Maureen is a 2-year paralegal and an ACP. So I'm going to turn the mic over to you, Maureen, and just give us a little introduction of who you are, where you are, and a little bit of how you got there.
Good morning, everyone. I am Maureen C. Washington, ACP, CAS, and I want to thank NALA and I want to thank everyone for this opportunity and platform to share my story of how in 2 years I have become a litigation paralegal, and I have transitioned from being a paralegal student, and I'm a NALA Advanced Certified Paralegal. And thank you to those who woke up on a Saturday morning to invest into yourselves. I'm excited about the opportunities. I'm excited about the conference that's coming. I hope to meet everyone there, whether you're remote or in person. Opportunities abound. So I'm going to pass it back over to Christine, and then I will share more of my story as we go along.
Yes, thank you so much, Maureen. It's fabulous having you here. Let's continue with some of our other panelists. I'd like to introduce Professor Bobby Remus. And Bobby came in as, I believe it was Patrice and Cheryl had both said, we're emphasizing a lot about networking in today's panel because we cannot express to you, if there is one takeaway from today's panel, please invest in your network. And I say that when I introduce Professor Bobby Remus because the way that Bobby and I came to be acquainted was through our work with our local paralegal associations. So Bobby, can you just give your brief background and where you are today and a little bit of how you got there?
Sure. Actually, it's quite a bit of a journey, but I will keep it short, sweet, and simple. Right now, I work at a litigation law firm in downtown Los Angeles where I support trial attorneys for various cases, especially in the areas of complex litigation and civil rights litigation. I also currently teach as a part-time adjunct faculty legal studies member at the University of La Verne, teaching legal research this summer. And I'm also a part-time associate professor at California State University, Los Angeles. And I have to give kudos and credence to my local paralegal association, because if it wasn't for them years ago, when the past president said, hey, would you like to sign up for an advisory board for a paralegal studies program? You only meet 2 to 3 times a year, so you can contribute on a panel with judges, attorneys, and paralegals to make sure that the curriculum of a junior college is up to par. And I said, sure, no problem. So I sent my resume to the community college here in Los Angeles. The dean called me back, or excuse me, the chair of the department called me back and said, hey, you're automatically on the advisory board, but have you ever thought of teaching? So that one way of networking has expanded my horizons, and it's actually ignited a passion that I never thought I would ever have, which is teaching.
Fantastic. Thank you and welcome, Bobby. And last but not least, and here's another, we don't even call it 6 degrees of separation anymore. It's like 1 to 2 degrees of separation, because how I came to know Ms. Joy Morale is through Bobby Remus. And that was because of our attendance at an event in Los Angeles, which happens to be an affiliate association of NALA, as is where my home or my local paralegal association, the San Diego Paralegal Association, is also an affiliate association of NALA. Just deep resources, connections, and networking through these organizations and through the volunteer work of these organizations. I digress. So Miss Joy Morale actually has her paralegal certificate from the university where I teach, and she is a paralegal turned entrepreneur who hires paralegals. How about that, folks? Yeah, so Joy, if you wouldn't mind, please give us a brief introduction into where you are and how you got there a little bit.
Oh, thank you, my dear. So I did graduate from USD Paralegal School back in 1994, and it's been a almost 30-year journey now. And I just love, first of all, I just congratulate everyone that's gone through school recently. It's been a tough couple years. And so to stick to it and graduate, just congratulations. That just shows the resiliency that paralegals have and just the commitment to finish something. So I think there are qualities that the paralegal of today that I think challenge those of us from the past. Like there's a lot going on. So I look forward to seeing you guys in the marketplace. So for me, after graduating, I went into big law. So I went into O'Melveny and I fell into a specialized area of legal technology, litigation support. But I always, I feel pulled from my education of being a paralegal. I always, again, worked with paralegals every day. So it was great because I could be an advocate and be just like that little bridge that extended the paralegal role into paralegal and technology. And I think that's where we are today. So flash forward, I was the director of global practice support for Paul Hastings and for Latham & Watkins. I was there for 13 years. Again, training and educating paralegals and lawyers alike, because technology is definitely something that is not a core curriculum in law school or paralegal school in a way that there is a common base or foundation for everyone. So for me, I started my own company in 2013 while I was actually still working. I did that for teaching at UCLA. I started my own company so I could be a teacher and professor also at different schools and create curriculum, because again, I think that our backgrounds in supporting case teams and law is so important. So going forward, this gig society with pulling together resources, I started my own company and today represent city and municipalities, corporate legal departments, and law firms of all sizes. We actually have a smaller firm in Louisiana that we're taking care of right now, but I just love it. And again, I just look at paralegals of today and just excited to see you guys in the marketplace and what's next. Lots of next. So,
yes, and I love, and some of our conversations, Joy mentions this term para-technical, and I love how she kind of gives it that phraseology, because we cannot express the importance of legal tech and proficiency enough in today's day and age of employment and employability. So that's actually an area that we're going to talk about, because as we all know, we are in strange times, right? And these times have really caused certain things to bubble up to the surface, including the great resignation, or whatever the term of the day is, because I think they're referring to it now as the great reshuffling or the great reevaluation, whatever the term of the day is. But bottom line is, folks are taking this great pause that we're in and figuring out, what is it that I really want to do? What am I skilled at? What can I do with the skills that I've acquired through my maybe formal education, my experience, my knowledge, etc. So hopefully we will be able to talk about that in a little bit, Joy, because some of what you're doing is also tapping into what the evolving discipline now is, legal operations, which is very, very interesting, because paralegals are really ripe for that type of pathway. All right, so I want to actually start with that topic of employment and employability. Maureen, what drove you to obtain your ACP so early on in your paralegal career?
Well, I want to acknowledge the fact that I was a student of Christine at USD. I am a product of what she offers. She is an awesome person. She is an awesome mentor. While I was in school as a student, I was given the information about expanding your horizons and having a growth mindset and having a plan, not just getting your certificate. What are you going to do beyond having that certificate? And with that information, I learned about NALA, and I was like, ooh, that's an opportunity. The National Association of Legal Assistants. Wow, I can get a premier certification that's offered by the nation. Oh my God, I want to be a part of that. So as a student, I saw the opportunities and the pathways that I could take to be more than a paralegal. That's just a stepping stone. So I like the fact that NALA is a support system for those that are new to paralegalism and those that have 25 years of experience as a paralegal. For me, it was what I call DACL, Distinction, Association, and Continuing Legal Education. Distinction, I have voluntarily shown that I am a consummate legal professional, and I am distinguished from the over 300,000 other paralegals that are out there working in the United States. association. When I think of ABA, I think of lawyers. And when I think of NALA, I think of paralegals. So there is a parallel between what is offered from being a part of an association, a larger association. And of course, NALA offers continuing legal education, whether you're doing self-study, live, or on-demand webinars. They have an opportunity for you to continue to evolve as a paralegal. And I am so excited to be a part of this. Thank you.
Wonderful. I love that acronym, DOCL, right? DOCL, distinguished, right? Affiliation and continuing legal education, or in other words, as I hammer into my students, lifelong learning. We must be lifelong learners. Speaking of lifelong learning, Professor Remus, I know that you have actually just obtained your master's in legal studies from the University of Arizona School of Law, correct?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did, Christine.
Would you mind sharing what kind of drove that desire for you to obtain more education? Because I know that your undergrad was at UCLA, a very distinguished school, and went on to get your paralegal certificate, I think also from UCLA, and went into leadership roles and so forth. But what was that drive at this point in your career, that desire to acquire more education at that level?
Yeah, Christine, I would like to thank the National Association of Legal Assistants for giving me the opportunity to speak today. But to answer Christine Custodio's question, what drove me, it's various factors. One of being is prior to being at the law firm that I'm at now in downtown Los Angeles, for over 17 years, I was working at a law department within a regional bank here in Pasadena, California. And the areas that I assisted the law department with are subpoena compliance, intellectual property, employment-based immigration, employment investigations, employment law. So the great thing about being at that bank is that it gave me the opportunity to expand my various specialties to assist attorneys with, but also I got inklings that, there's gotta be more than this, even though I have this great diverse background with over 17 years of experience. There's just so much more to know. There's just so much more to learn, and why just limit myself to a bachelor's degree when I can actually go out and get my master's degree? And then to top that off, the bank offered tuition reimbursement, so why not? So I also have to thank my colleagues at the bank, because they were also encouraging me, hey, we have these compliance issues, and it's also great maybe if you got a master's degree that there's a specialty at the University of Arizona School of Law where they have a specialty in compliance and legal risk management. And the bank might be actually interested in maybe co-funding your education. So I grabbed the opportunity and ran with it. And I actually just totally loved the program. It opened my eyes to so many more perspectives of law, more procedures towards law, upcoming legislation that will impact the legal profession as we know it. So I'm very glad I made that journey into actually getting my master's degree. And if you are actually thinking about it, I highly recommend that you do research on it, because it might be definitely something for you to go for.
Thank you, Bobby. And particularly if there is that education reimbursement opportunity through your employer, that is a win-win for everyone all around, isn't it? Fantastic.
Yes.
And Joy, I'm going to switch this up a little bit for you, because you do kind of enjoy that CEO owner, right, role of your own company, Practice Aligned Resources. And I want you to share a little bit about, because you and I have several discussions about what you intended to do with this type of business, right? Because you saw a lot of inefficiencies, if you will, in the practice of law, in that, maybe the right people weren't situated in the right job to do the right type of work. So I kind of want to talk about that in that framework of employment and employability, because you are looking at training, educating paralegals to become paratechnicals, to be placed in these particular situations where they are extremely efficient. If you could share a little bit about that.
Well, thank you, Christine, and thank you again, Nala, for having me today. So I think that goes to the name of my company is Practice Aligned, and it's all about the A. It's about alignment. I really look to people when I mentor, when I try and talk about the future market, finding in yourself what are your strengths. What do you enjoy doing? Kind of like Bobby said, there's so much out there. There's a lot to choose from. So you can choose, especially in this marketplace now with the Great Resignation or Great Shuffle or whatever you want to call it. But it's now the employees market. It really is your choice. And when you go out and interview, it's your turn now to start asking them the hard questions. What are you going to do for me? Or what what do you do here that I can contribute to in a way that I feel to be most utilized? So I think that first of all, for me, starting a company that empowers people to learn more, to just have more access to, you mentioned networking, have access to people in different positions. So you can ask, I tell people all the time, go to LinkedIn, ask them questions, see if they'll take an informational interview, look at where you think you want to work, go look at who works there now, what's their background, read their LinkedIn. How did they get there? What were their steps? And like Bobby mentioned, going, and some people now, if you look at, and Christine mentioned legal operations, going out and seeking specific specialties like data privacy, compliance, right? There's a lot out there, IP. The market for specialized paralegals, the financial aspect of it is outside, it's out, what do you call it? It's out there. I mean, in regards to salaries, and then again, it's a supply and demand market. So high demand, low supply. We all know that that's the only thing I took from Econ 101. And yeah, that one I understand. But you know, there's just so much there. So I think for me, it's really people understanding your own skills, your own strengths, your own desires, and then going out and trying to align with what's in the market. But also know that you can graduate where you are now, and you do it for 6 months, you may be ready to go the next one, right? So smart goals, achievable, put yourself some time frames, and really just step up, right? Just start climbing those stairs or that ladder.
And you mentioned that you mentor people. And I want you to talk a little bit about that, Joy, because you have been a mentor to so many people. And I know I get to enjoy little think tank sessions with you and mastermind sessions with you. Can you share a little bit with the folks that are attending today the importance of having almost like a personal board of directors or mentors in your life?
Well, first of all, you can see I have a lot of bags, so it's a lot of time spending. Like you only have so many hours in a day, but you try, right? But so the thing, first of all, is having a mirror for yourself. It's you can only see so much, right? The reflection that you see is kind of colored by your own view of yourself. And so I love having so many different people. And I personally have an executive coach that, you know, becoming an entrepreneur, I realize I need someone that has experience in this area. So same thing for you. If there's somewhere you want to go find that person. And it may not be someone you have to pay. There are a lot of people out there who will actually do this because they want to pay it forward. Someone help them, they're going to want to spend some time with you. And also realize that it's not going to be, you know, 5 hours a month from one person. It could be 15-minute conversations from different people. It could be joining sessions like this that you're gleaning and being inspired and getting information. So I always tell people that, first of all, being a mentor doesn't have to be a one-to-one direct connect. It could be an indirect mentor, but two, seek out make a little wheel of what are the areas, because everybody is so diverse in how they are and how they want to approach life or their job. Make your list and then go find, and then ask people. Like Christine's a great resource. I always call her too. Like, hey, here's my list. What do you think? Who can I get an introduction to some people? And next, you know, it's like a tree, just branches out. And next, you know, you'll be amazed on how big your network is. You're putting out there. Some people will be inspired by your story because it might resonate with them. And then you might find that one-on-one mentor who can spend, you know, hour or two a week or a month with you. So I think that's my take on mentoring.
Awesome. Thank you so much. As you talked about kind of graduating these steps of proficiency, Joy, right? I'm going to pitch this back to Bobby because he is probably one of our most recent ones who has transitioned in his career. So I kind of want you to share a little bit, Bobby, about when you availed these certain, I don't know, maybe promotions or advancements in your own career, either as a paralegal or in your association work. What were those kind of milestones in your career journey that really propelled you in that trajectory to success?
I would definitely say that when the diverse background that you have can propel you and you could actually utilize it to help others, that's what drove me into associations like the local association here in Los Angeles. It also made me realize that there's more to, sometimes you can do more. In addition to being a paralegal, which is fun, fabulous, and sky's the limit, you can actually take it to the next level. And that's what pushed me also into education, is to take what you've learned either through formal education and or your own office setting and actually play it forward and actually bring it to the students. And that's, again, one of my journeys as to why I ended up being a part-time professor for the past 14 years. So it's all about, you know, what you learn, what you know, and how you can possibly further build on it. So you could actually further build on it with yourself, which is wonderful, right? Build on your own experience. But when there's actually when you actually have the opportunity to give back, you will be surprised how much more you are satisfied with the work that you do. And also, what I come to find, when you're preparing lesson plans at the university or college level, you want to give your students the best foundation of education possible. So you search back, up, down, all around to make sure you're giving them the best possible lesson plan for the day. And sometimes you literally come across new information or new procedures or new educational technology information that you can bring back to your office and actually help your employers. So it's a win-win situation for everybody.
Great, thank you so much. And let's dive in a little bit more about, now that we've talked about kind of employment and employability and how we can make ourselves marketable, especially during this time. Let's dive in a little bit and talk about your roles and responsibilities. And maybe let's start with maybe the top 3 skills or resources that you've availed to help yourself really be successful. And Maureen, I'm interested in your perspective because you are just a 2-year paralegal starting off your career. So what are some maybe experiences, resources, tips that you can share, maybe top 3 that have really helped you?
Absolutely. The definition of a paralegal is a person qualified by education, training, or work experience. And so we know that we're in a profession that is driven by statutes and codes and rules. So as a baby paralegal or a novice, I depend heavily upon the rules. So in San Diego, we have the San Diego Superior Court website. We have the fine law. We have the court, the California legislature. I rely on those heavily. And on my resources, I text Christine the other day, Christine, can you tell me about this deposition rule? I need some help with that. So you have to be willing to reach out to your resources and to be humble enough to ask for help when you don't know. Being new to this, I definitely rely on my resources. So in my firm where I work at Kirby and McGuinn, we do commercial, we do bankruptcy, and I am a trust and estate litigation paralegal. So I have the opportunity to work with PC Law for billing. I work with Microsoft Office Suite. I work with Best Authority for preparing pleadings and different things, the authorities that are required for the pleadings. And I also work with ShareFile when we have large documents that have to be sent via email. So those are some of the platforms that I work with in the office.
Great, thanks for sharing that. And I want to actually go to Joy because she is the practice aligned resources queen. So what would you say is maybe like the top 3 maybe softwares that these entry level or people who are transitioning into maybe a different practice area, what are really core skills that they must have present day?
No, definitely. First, before I go into the technology, I will say the can-do attitude, positivity. You know, when we face a lot of times with things that we don't know, just saying, you know what, I don't know, but let me go see what I can find out. Let me go out and go find it. So to that end, that's the same thing with technology. Well, first of all, Maureen mentioned a couple of them. The basic core Word, right? Microsoft Word, briefs every day, documents every day. And people think, oh, it's a big deal. I'm just typing something in and printing it. No, you need to do styles and outlines and do a table of authorities, right? There's things there. So really master Word. There are some specialty trainings and assessments out there actually built by lawyers and paralegals. Because
alert from calendar, hand treatment, paraffin. Alert from calendar, NALA Commons group.
I'm not sure who's
alert from calendar, hair.
So
alerts are going off. Can maybe
calendar
mute ourselves?
Hi guys. So if you can all make sure that you mute your screens while you're not speaking and just one person at a time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So Word, number 1. Number 2, again, it's just the core applications of spreadsheets or Excel in this specific case. If you're working in employment law and other areas, even just the bookkeeping part of it, inventory, you know, Excel, again, these are core software. This is nothing special, like, oh, all this AI with e-discovery, which again, we do and teach, but go back to the fundamental products that we use every day. And lastly, email. Understand how to manage your mailbox, use forwarding. Some people love writing emails at 2 in the morning, but some people don't like receiving them at 2 in the morning. So understand how to use some of the features in Outlook, how to kind of modulate your communication protocols so that you can really leverage the tools that you have at your fingertips, and managing your calendar, obviously, in Outlook. So those are the top 3. If you're going to go into specialized software, yes, any discovery and litigation, figure out what's out there, for example, real-time depositions. And I'm not talking about, again, the high-tech AI for discovery documents. I'm talking this, everybody at some point has to do deposition. Attorneys are still handwriting their notes, and it just kills me. And then they're asking, when can I get an expedited transcript? I'm like, oh, if they just had real time, they could have it right now. So just understand, you don't even know how to use it, just know these tools exist. And then you can start to call. So rely on your service providers out there. And to me, I would phone a friend from the service provider. That's how I learned eDiscovery, when eDiscovery wasn't even eDiscovery, is the vendors were seeing these things first. So reach out to that network, but the technologies are always going to change. But the thing that's always stood by attorneys is Word or WordPerfect. I know there's some people who still use WordPerfect. I love Shift F7 myself. Some kind of Word, right, document, and then spreadsheets, and then your own communication tool, whether that's Outlook. Some people are into Teams and Slack now. Really understand how to maximize your communication through your tools.
I love how you started, Joy, with attitude is everything, right? And the way I say to my students is, if you're a no in life, everything's going to be a no. You have to have the right growth mindset to really access that success trajectory. So Joy, you mentioned you do mention technology quite a bit. And I know the model rules of professional conduct have changed in such a way that its proficiency in technology is written into the rules for lawyers practicing. Can you share a little bit of what you've been seeing with regard to like the shift in technology and really how paralegals can come to be those subject matter experts and really help and partner with lawyers in that way?
Yeah, and again, people think that when we talk about the technology, we think, oh, it's the eDiscovery or the big M&A due diligence tools out there. We're talking regular client communications, the malpractice involved with not calendaring your dates correctly, not leveraging tools that already exist. So just so you know, it's not the big stuff, it's the regular everyday stuff that can get you. So when we talk about, oh, they have to either know it, learn it, or hire someone who knows it, right? That's where I think it's the opportunity for paralegals to know it. And again, you yourself can learn it. And there's a lot out here in regards to resources. Again, Nala, thank you so much for the call for speakers. I think it's great that you open up at the annual conference to bring in new topics. So to that end, being a part of an organization like this where they're serving up to you what you need to learn, easy peasy, just start taking the classes. Maureen's a perfect example. So I think the opportunities for paralegals is to step in that gap where lawyers are not learning technology as a core piece of their curriculum in law school. It's still, again, in paralegal schools, I've seen it in different forms and formats. It's just not, again, a consistent, 6 things you're going to learn at every paralegal school. So there's opportunity because each of you has probably learned technology from different points of views by who your teacher is or maybe the specialty you're going into. For example, I might teach more of litigation software because that's where I come from information governance to trial. Someone else might teach timekeeping and Word and legal research kind of based tools. And someone else might come in and teach more trial oriented stuff. So just take a look at your program, the paralegal school you've gone to, and again, reach out there and see what's out there for learning. There's so many software packages. Just even you mentioned the Table of Best Authority. That's amazing, and it was just purchased by another company last year, I think a couple of years ago. So things change in technology, so you guys gotta keep up to date. So yeah, I think, is that my answer?
Yeah, tools are so important, right? And it's good to share about what's happening trending and development wise in our industry. This is why it's so important to stay abreast of that by joining your local and national associations, because those folks are usually the people with their fingertip on the pulse of what is trending and developing in the industry. While we're talking about roles and responsibility, Bobby, I'd like to kind of explore a little bit with you because you have made that transition from in-house at a regional bank, right, a law department, and now you're working in a law firm handling very litigation-specific tasks. Can you kind of share and explain a little bit of that in-house versus a traditional paralegal in a law firm? for our attendees?
Sure. One of the main big distinctions between in-house and working for a law firm is billing, as we all know. Billing, 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 right? So billing is the blood of the law firm. So you must make the most of your time. I mean, literally. So I think that is like the biggest eye opener for me, which is fine because before I worked at the bank, I worked at an international immigration law firm and they were into billing too. But when you don't do billing for 17 years, sometimes it's like a language. If you don't use it, you lose it. So I had to become quickly acclimate myself to the billing system and also understand what is it specifically that they would like to see for the duties that paralegals perform? What is the language they would like to see on the bills to make the office happy, to make the clients happy? Because at the end of the day, we serve the clients. And again, I keep getting reminded that billing is the blood of the law firm. But I also come to know that you have to embrace technology. So the technology that I had at the bank is not exactly the same kind of technology that we have here at the current office that I have. And so you have to quickly come and embrace that as well. So one key thing that I can give advice for anybody that's listening is absolutely embrace the technology. So you have to, number one, know your audience. Number two, whatever technology is at the current office that you will or are going into, or a new technology that's being introduced, a new software, a new platform, please embrace it. I know some people are not so quickly to adapt to change, but in this day and age, change is a must, and you must embrace the changes that come with technology. So the technology, as you know, that we have today, I'm pretty sure there's going to be some great updates within the next 5 years. So knowing that, you must and always, number one, know about it, learn it, embrace it, and be, with a can-do attitude. Because when you don't have that can-do attitude, trust me, you will get noticed, and it won't be exactly in the most positive way. One of the things that I fall in love with at this new firm is when an attorney comes by and says to me, "Can you please site check this pleading?" And so I have come to fall in love with Drafting Assistant. It's one of the products with Reuters within Westlaw, and that site checking feature, it's called Drafting Assistant again. It saves me so much time because you have a lot of artificial intelligence linking the cases, linking the citations. But of course, even though you have this artificial intelligence linking all the cases that I used to do at the bank manually from case to case to case, this artificial intelligence through Drafting Assistance just goes through 25 pages, links them all automatically. Now, of course, you still have to do, as a paralegal, you still have to do your due diligence and go into each case to make sure that whatever the attorney is presenting in that context is being used in the same context within that case, and if that case for sure is still good or decent law. So artificial intelligence or Drafting Assistant features like that technology can help you, but of course you always have to still, don't think just because this technology helps you do something so fast that you still are not responsible to do your other part of your due diligence. And so again, the technology is one thing that can help you, but if it makes you too comfortable, I can see how it could also make you a little bit too relaxed and not doing your due diligence. So please, even though you get technology, it makes things faster, make sure you cover all your ends and do your due diligence.
Absolutely. Good point. I do want to share a resource at this point because it's free and we love free 99, right? So at the San Diego Paralegal Association, we offer a free Friday luncheon. I know it's Pacific time, so it's noon hour Pacific time. You just go on our website and register, but it's called Virtual Lunch with Leaders. And we are starting year 3 of this. And this was in response to this pandemic we were in. We were all like, what do we do now? We are so used to meeting and educating one another and sharing resources. So Sheila Grella, who serves, I believe, on the CEC of NELA, she spearheaded this virtual lunch with leaders. And Joy oftentimes is, she sponsors it, and she's also oftentimes a guest host on that show. And they cover everything from what Bobby has shared about, like, what is the difference between in-house and a traditional paralegal, and what are the soft skills that I might need to be successful in my career, and what technology is out there and can really help me improve as a paralegal and grow in my role. I want to pause for a second and talk to Kayla because she actually teaches as well. She's an educator at St. Petersburg College, and she teaches the law practice management course there. She's the only paralegal on faculty at that university. And I wanted to have you talk a little bit, because Bobby brought up billing. And that happens to be, you know, for me, I am a litigation paralegal, and that happens to be like the bane of my existence, and for many others who have to bill as well. So I kind of want you to share a little bit of your thought and insight about how you talk to your students, and maybe the folks on today's call, about how to kind of embrace and empower themselves with billing strategies.
Oh, I hate billing. I know there are some paralegals that just thrive from billing. They find it so much fun. It's like Margot is one of those people who finds it like a game. I am not. I cannot stand billing. And my most favorite part about my new position is that I don't have to bill. So if you hate it, find a job where you don't have to bill. But in terms of billing, I think one of the most important things is to set up some systems for yourself. If you don't do it every day, do it every 48 hours, whatever the system is that works for you, you're not going to do it, and you're going to forget stuff. So one of the most important things is to set up some systems for yourself. Another big thing that I do is, and this is going to kind of vary depending on the area of law you work in, but for those of you who are in litigation or moving into litigation, probably one of the easiest things to do is to set up some standard billing entries for yourself. You're going to do some of the same things over and over and over again. Those things may change a little bit, but setting up some standard entries so you can kind of copy it. Let's hope that your billing is electronic and you're not doing any paper. I still know attorneys who write their billing down on paper, but we're going to pretend that it's all electronic. So being able to just cut and paste and move things around makes your billing a lot simpler and quicker, and therefore you're more likely to do it. Again, not doing it is what's going to not make you fail, but it's not going to help you elevate yourself as a paralegal. A lot of us, I mean, everybody on this call, I'm sure, could attest to this to some extent. Our bonuses, our raises, our annual reviews, our compensation are all somewhat linked to our billing as paralegals. And so while we say, like, yes, we need to do it because it makes the firm money, we want to make money. We want to make more money. And therefore, we have to prove ourselves. And it's a great, easy way to prove yourself as a paralegal is to say, look at my beautiful billing that I've done on time, consistently, and in a format in which the client is happy about. And that's probably the last thing I'll touch on in that. One of the things I stress to my students, my poor students, I make them do time logs throughout the whole semester so that they get used to billing, because it is an art, it takes some time. One of the most important things, I think, is to look at billing from the perspective of the client. Most of the time we're doing it from the perspective of the firm. We're trying to make sure we get all the information in there, but we're not thinking about where does the end result here. The end result is to get the client to pay. I worked in insurance defense for a while, and insurance companies are never fun. And so the people who reviewed our bills, our time entries, were auditors. And we would constantly get our time audited because they were worded differently, or, that's where that kind of standard entry billing came in. To write it in the context that makes sense to your client so that they're very quickly easy to look at it and say, hey, I'm willing to pay this. I understand why you spent $400 on said thing, or I understand why this took 7.6 hours or whatever it is. Making sure that your clients understand it is the most important thing.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, so I actually want to talk to Cheryl briefly, because she comes from a small law firm, which Sarah, do you have something to say?
We just had a question. Somebody said, I'm a contract paralegal. Do you have any recommendations for apps or programs to effectively track my projects to build a law firm?
Joy, I think you probably would be the best suited to answer this.
Yeah, we use Harvest, and it's great because it has a little start stop that you can use on your phone too, and then it's good for you can also generate bills for it from there too. And it's affordable, if I recall. It's a small fee monthly per user, so it's really good. And I was going to add that to that thing too, as a manager, as someone that with my company now, we're always trying to make sure we're billing and everything, but recognizing it's not just the client billable things. I actually tell people to really track your day. If you came in and you worked 8 hours, you should figure out how you're tracking 8 hours. I even made time codes for my staff for the breaks and stuff, because it's hard to understand when people say, gosh, I don't know where time went. And if you're only tracking 3 to 4 hours of the billable time, where did the rest of the day go? How did it allocate? And as a manager, if you were helping the help desk or you were helping the library because they needed help in research, if you were helping the administrator do something, track it so that I, as a manager, can see the value you're providing outside of client billable, that there's so much to the company that we need help with, and that if you're chipping in, it just helps me have some visibility into what you do. And again, your value is not just what you bill and bring into the company, but what you add to the company as a member of our team.
Thank you for saying that, Joy, because actually one of the main focal points of VLL, the Virtual Lunch with Leaders, is business intelligence. And as Joy had referenced earlier, law school curriculum does not address technology. Typically, they're not teaching like lawyers to be technical people, right? And also, they're not going to business school. So can you talk briefly, just a little bit about that, Joy, about business intelligence and the importance for paralegals to really become and embrace the business acumen?
Yeah, I mean, when you look, you mentioned, Kayla, looking at from the client point of view, you know, there, for example, you have outside billing guidelines, right? They're trying to, one, tell their outside counsel what they will and won't pay for. And then two, because that's your client, keeping them happy, right? So making sure you're following the rules. Two, they've all deployed multi-million-dollar e-billing systems. So they are actually putting your timesheets through artificial intelligence, and it's actually tracking your company and your law firm's productivity against other law firms' productivity. So you as an employee being as a contributor and a revenue generator for them, just keep in mind you are part of the business. You are the widget that we are selling or they are selling. And so just being smart about how that all works and know that, you know, realization and write-offs, what's that mean? I bill 50 hours this week, that's great, right? Well, not if I wrote off 40 of them. And not if my client doesn't understand the value. Now you're putting me in a position of having a client trust issue. They don't know what we're doing. So again, I think from having that business intelligence and understanding how does a law firm work, or how does a corporate legal department work, or, you know, what does your boss value? What are they coming to you? Just being aware that it's not always, oh, I just billed 10 hours today. Well, how did you interact with the team? Were you actually a positive spirit with the attorneys and the client, or were you actually a problem? Were you the person that's actually instigating a little bit of the negativity or drama or whatever that is? But again, just being aware of the business at hand and just being more cognizant of your role in that.
Thank you. Great insight and feedback. And as I was saying earlier, this is kind of a nice segue into our training and development discussion today. And I kind of wanted to touch on with Cheryl, because she and I are probably like the only small law firm people on the panel today. So I want to give a shout out to us because, you know, so many solo and small law firms exist out there. It's like the majority of law firms where most paralegals will be situated. So Cheryl, as we talk about professional development, leadership development, what really drove you, because you are the secretary of NALA, this national organization, right? We're the only association for paralegals that has an accredited examination, a voluntary competency examination for paralegals. That's a big deal. It's a big deal, and you are part of that vision and mission, Cheryl, and you have run for multiple elected positions. So just share a little bit about your why. Why did you do that?
So my why goes way back to before many of you were born, in 1990, when I had a paralegal mentor back at the large law firm that I was working in West Palm Beach, Florida. She said, "Hey, Cheryl, you're taking the NALA exam." And I said, you know, I was 22, 23 years old, and I'm like, okay. I didn't really know what I was getting into. Fast forward 3 years from then, when I wanted to move to a different state, I had the NALA certification. I didn't know crap about Michigan law, Michigan court rules, nothing. But I had the NALA certification, so I could take that, add it to my resume, show that I can learn, show that I'm, you know, capable of expanding my horizons. And that became absolutely critical in the career path and in my ability to move to a different state, an entirely different area of law, like 180-degree different area of law. So it's NALA that was that background back in 1990 when I really didn't, like I had heard of NALA, but I didn't really know much about it. And now fast forward into my involvement with the NALA board, which also came about due to a paralegal mentor saying, hey, I think you should run for a NALA board position. And I've been involved in local associations throughout the years as well. But I think like many of us, I suffer from what I like to call my imposter syndrome. Like I don't belong with this group, like with Bobby, Christine, Joy, Kayla, like you guys are phenomenal paralegals with awesome backgrounds. And I've always felt like, you know, like, yes, I'm getting past it, but that's a hard thing to get past, is that imposter syndrome, right, Kayla? Are you feeling that as well, or does anybody else have that?
I definitely feel like that, but usually with you and other people, we all feel like that with each other. Like, so I think it's just silly. We're all doing great things together, and the more we come together, and especially with associations, local associations, NALA, whoever, us coming together just is huge. It makes us so much stronger.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And
so it's all about
I am humbled to
first, it's all about the connections.
connections,
I am
absolutely. Maureen,
humbled
go
to
ahead.
I'm sorry, I keep running over everyone. I say I'm so humbled to be a part of this community and to be able to share my story amongst people. I only have 2 years compared to your 10, 15, 25 years of experience. So it just is a testament to the corporation of its ability to embrace those, whether they're just starting out or whether they've been in this journey for a long time. So we are all here to learn.
Thank you for pointing that out. All great insights, Cheryl, Kayla, and Maureen, right? We are all doing the same type of work with that mission to uplift, empower, right? Paralegals ourselves so that we can really advance the profession as we kind of take on, you know, like we're exploring now legal operations because we're finding, gosh, paralegals have the right kind of training for this legal operations kind of stuff. Maureen, while I have you, let's talk a little bit because for some of the folks who are new or maybe just graduated from their programs, yay, congratulations. What was that like for you to transition once you obtain your paralegal certificate, your formal training? And perhaps maybe you didn't have a lot of experience, because the most common question that I get from students or people I'm coaching is, Christine, these job descriptions, they want 2 to 5 years of experience. I have 0. I've never worked in a law firm. I've been like in retail. What do I do?
Okay, well, I'm so glad that you asked that. I graduated from school. I got my bachelor's degree in political science. I got my ABA accredited certification from the University of San Diego. And then it's like, okay, I'm looking at these job descriptions, 3 to 5 years, and I have 0. I came back from a business background where I owned a business. I had customer service. Now, how do I incorporate that into this legal field that I'm in? My quest, I had 3 questions. How do I get 3 to 5 years of experience when I have 0? How do I build a bomb resume? And how do I build a brand on LinkedIn? And that became my quest as in 2020, when I graduated and had that beautiful piece of paper, it's like, okay, now what? I got to get a job. And so every time, fortunately for USD, they have an internship program, and I was able to be hired by that supervising internship attorney. And from there, I networked and I developed relationships, and he referred me to my next job where I was there for a period of time. And during COVID, we had to transition. And because of my networking and my relationship, I was able to be referred to the next job where I am now with Kirby and McGuinn. So it's all about owning your skills, being ready to be adaptable, being flexible, having a dynamic growth mindset so that you, as a new paralegal, a novice, you're getting out into this new field, you can step forward. For me, I made a chart every day. whether it was, I sent an email today, I did a pleading today, ooh, I wrote a motion today. And on those days that you don't do those things, you can reflect back on and say, oh, I am worth it. I am valuable. I'm learning how to do these things. So you don't step out with your certificate and voila, you do everything all at once. It's a process. It's organic. We grow into it, and I'm loving the process. Thank you for asking.
Wonderful, Maureen. And I also have a question too, because some folks might be wondering, what is it like getting that first job? And you have this formal education, right? What you learned during your training program, but then what is that internal training like? Have you worked for small law firms, or what is your experience, and what does that training internally look like?
For me, when I was interviewing for my current job, I had the opportunity to interview with my hiring attorney as well as the paralegal who was transitioning to be the firm administrator. So I had the opportunity of 6 months personal training. She was there walking me through it because I walked into an area of law I knew nothing about. Probate in the States, what is that? So I had someone there that was able to guide me and show me, okay, this is how we set up the format. This is what we do with Word. This is how we use best authority. Oh, and you want to build PC law. This is what we do. So I had someone that was there to guide me and show me the steps and what to do as a paralegal every day in the office.
Wonderful. So it's your formal education kind of informed that internal training that you had access to within your law firm or walls of your law firm.
I was comfortable enough to walk into a law firm atmosphere because of the foundation that I received in school, because of the knowledge that I had. I was competent enough to walk into a law office and say, okay, I can do this. I know how to do this. Show me exactly how you want this done. I was capable and I was prepared by the USD program. Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful. And Bobby, I'm curious too, because you transitioned from in-house to law firm life again. And you're at a large law firm, am I correct? What is that training like?
Mid-sized law firm. So it's about 45 attorneys.
So what is that like for you with regard to the training that you received within a mid-sized law firm for that specific department where you're covering litigation?
I think the training that you receive, no matter what, whether it's going from in-house to a law firm or going from one law firm to another law firm, it's key that you get that key training, because what one law firm does for specific things, like for example, something as simple as billing, how they do site checking. The site checking that I use right now at the law firm that I'm at, they have that tool, that technology of the drafting assistant through Westlaw. Some law firms don't have that. So if they did not have that, then I would just simply, go ahead and do the draft checking or site checking the way that I did it at the bank. So what also is very key for me transitioning is to make sure that you do have some key mentors train you on these training sessions. So they'll say, okay, we're going to pair you with our senior paralegal here. She will show you the ropes as to how we do billing, how we do our procedures. When you go to trial, this is a checklist that you must know and have and completely know about before you go into trial. So you follow the checklist to make sure everything's in place. That way, when you go into trial, you don't freak out because you don't want to come across as someone that's disorganized in the courtroom, because there is no time or room for that whatsoever. So, they'll give you training, embrace it. They'll give you checklists, know it, know where they are. So again, everything from billing to trial prep to formatting to site checking. How one law firm does it might not be the same way that another law firm does it. So the key thing here is this: know your audience and embrace it wherever you go.
That's such good advice, Bobby, right? Know your audience, know what the ultimate objective is, right? So that you can milestone properly and get there timely, accurately. Joy, I want to kind of mix this up a little bit. I know you probably won't have some insight about this area, but because you have this belief that people have to have the right attitude and mindset whilst embracing, the training that they're going through. What are your thoughts with regard to, paralegals who may be new graduates, who don't have that practical experience yet, but want access to information that will be helpful, useful, practical as they enter the law firm or in-house legal department? Thoughts?
Well, first of all, tying that back, exactly that, the practical abilities, looking at your transferable skills, just like Maureen mentioned, she came from customer service before. So I would say looking at your job description, first of all, they're out there. As a hiring manager, we recycle our job descriptions, right? If there's an open position, usually we grab it, we put it up. I don't even remember what it said. Did it say 2 to 4 years? Oops, doesn't matter for this role. And also when you apply, it's gonna be by who's in front of me, because sometimes I have a 6-year person, I'm like, are they overqualified? Well, wait a minute, let's hear what they have to say, what value can they add? So just know that a job description is a starting point. When you get the interview, hopefully you can get in there, you can use your words to describe who you are, because 2 years, okay, once you get past that first 2 years of no experience, you're done, right? You have 30 more years of your resume that's going on. That excuse of no 2 years experience is gone. So just know it's a short window. Second, if you can look at what you would normally, what would you normally learn in that 2 years? That's really what we want. I don't want just a job on your resume for 2 years. I want to know and say it's 2 years of experience that I'm looking for. And again, what is it I would expect you to do within that first 2 years? I myself in our business and let's support, it's not, there's no school, it's really hard to have people who have experience. We hire people, we train them because I said, well, you know what I want you to learn in the next 6 months is what most people do in 3 years in my industry. So within 6 months with what I do, we're training them, and we're actually, like Maureen said, if they're loading data, if they're doing real-time depositions, whatever it is, you track it so you can say, actually, I don't have 2 years experience at one firm. However, I've been doing these gigs, little gigs with a temp agency, and I've done 65 priv logs over the last 6 months. I've done 4 document reviews looking for responsive documents to these issues. Like being able to articulate what you do have and what you do know is so key versus sitting there thinking about, well, I don't have this, I don't have this, I don't have that. I tell people, especially yesterday, we had a meeting in like 3 minutes and my person's telling me what they don't have. I'm like, stop. We have 3 minutes. What do we have right now? What can we do when we get on that phone call? So again, that can-do attitude, what you have, not what you don't have. And second, with that whole resume thing, don't limit yourself and put a ceiling. Put that resume in. Use your words. Try and find how you can flip it. Find someone who works there already and ask them a little bit more about that job, what they would do. You might be able to find out what are they looking for. And I found out in one job that the manager wanted someone with a wide breadth of experience because that person thought they were overqualified, but actually that's what the person's looking for, but it's not written on the job description that way. The job description looks like it's very mono-focused, and it's like, you know what, you're going to differentiate yourself, let's change this. So you just don't use the job description to limit that or discourage you, just move forward. So there, sorry.
Sarah, do we have a question from the audience?
We did. So it was kind of a two-parter question. It said, how do you find an employer willing to train a paralegal with 0 connections and no available internships? They said, I've worked for an office as a filing clerk, but they had no time to train me in paralegal activities. How should a new person find an employer willing to train them?
I think we all touched on this because we've all said the value and importance of mentors is mission critical to your success. This is why it's so important to join paralegal associations in your area. Why? Because that's where you can find mentors. It is so, so, so important to find people who have been there and done that successfully. And hopefully they will take you under their wing. 18 years into doing this, right? I'm an 18-year paralegal and I still have five mentors because I need them even after 18 years. Kayla, do you have maybe some insight, suggestions with regard to that? I'm sure you get asked this a lot by your students.
I really do. And I think one of the hard things is, how do I find a mentor? That's a huge thing, is that their instinct is cool. Like, I'm happy to do whatever, but how do I find that person? Utilize the network that you have in front of you, whether it be the associations, your professors, people at NALA. I tell my students every semester, walking into NALA, the NALA conference the first time was the scariest thing because I wasn't a member. I was almost done with my paralegal schooling. I was trying to do the CP review courses to prep for the exam. I was terrified. Every single person was fantastic. They treated you like you had been there for years. And I swear we're not just saying this because we're all like NALA members or NALA affiliated or some whatever. And this is the NALA panel. Literally, NALA is fantastic, and it has been for years. So it's a great place to find a mentor because as a student, you don't necessarily know where to start. So finding that mentor is the first real step, is being able to find the mentor. And then being able to build from there to like adjust your resume accordingly, like we mentioned, and to be able to just, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought for a second, but to be able to build from your mentorship is the huge, huge thing. And finding that mentor is the best first step. That's
Can I
really
chime in?
Let's go with Joy and then Maureen. How about that?
I'm so sorry. So I was just gonna say, reach out to your teachers, let them know that you're interested in work. Because Bobby, how many times have I asked you, oh my gosh, we have a project, it's a 2-week thing. We just need someone who could do data entry. We'll train them. Like there are times when there are projects where there is a deadline. And if you have a paralegal certificate, that's okay, sit in the seat, right? Because they know that we could train a class, just like document review attorneys in a sense. Attorneys come out and do contract work all the time. There's so many opportunities for new graduate paralegals to get these little, 2-week projects. Some of them end up being 6-month projects. And then you become and you build that experience. It may not be a formal job for 2 years, but it's the experience that you can demonstrate that you can put on your resume.
Fantastic. And Maureen?
I just wanted to add, finding a mentor starts in school. As a student, build those connections. I'm still connected with Christine, and she was one of my teachers in school. The internship supervising attorney, the one that I worked for, we're having lunch next month. I still have lunch with my former employees. It's about networking and building bridges and maintaining those relationships, because you never know who knows what and can say, oh, I know somebody who can do this. She's new, but she still has the skills, da, 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 da. You have to put yourself in place so that you can be available for when the opportunity presents itself. So building those bridges as a student, joining those local associations, the national associations, because you get connections. We have the NALA conference next month. I am going to meet a sea of like-minded paralegals, and I am so excited. It'll be my first time. So set yourself up to win. Do the legwork, be adaptable, be flexible, have that growth mindset, and you will move forward. You will find that perfect fit for what you're able to do.
Absolutely. Come see Maureen and me at the NALA conference in Phoenix, July 14th through the 16th. And Cheryl and Kayla, I think, is going to be there, and Patrice, and I think Sarah, you'll be there too. Bobby, did you have to add something? Because I think Sarah said there's another question. I think she's saving it.
Yes, I get that question all the time from my students. How do I get experience or get my foot in the door if they will not offer me experience, or I need experience to get in the door? And one of the key things that I say to my students is, have you ever thought about doing pro bono work, right? So you can call your organizations that are in need, the pro bono organizations, the legal-free clinics that offer legal services to those that are not, those that are underprivileged. So that experience in itself, even if it's just 1 Saturday a month or 2 Saturdays a month, when they put that experience on their resume, that can distinguish them from the other individuals that have no experience and they're that much more ahead of the game. And you'd be surprised how many people actually get jobs by actually doing that volunteer experience through a legal clinic or a legal nonprofit organization. Also too, as sometimes when I'm teaching, some students will ask about, well, do you know any firms that do employment-based immigration that will take on first-year students as paralegals that do not have experience? That's another reason why I keep in touch with my other law firms that I've been with, because it's also, number one, it's great to cultivate a relationship, and number two, you never know if I can help out another student, connect them to a prior law firm, and then all of a sudden they have a job and they're so helpful and grateful. So I've actually done that several times a year. I actually have students and talk about the prior law firms that I was with or worked with, and all of a sudden they end up saying, hey, I am so grateful because of your recommendation. I contacted the human resources department at that law firm and I'm now employed there. So it's always great to know that your students are not just learning what you give them in the classroom, but also connecting them to prospective employers in the future.
Thank you, Bobby. And before we go to Sarah, just a couple of insights that are coming up, right? Maureen mentioned branding, personal branding. And Bobby's kind of alluding to reputation management. I say this to my students, your reputation precedes you in this profession, because it's not 6 degrees of separation. It is 1 to 2 degrees. Someone knows someone who knows you or knows of you, right? So it's personal branding plus reputation management. We want people know, like, and trust. That's what I know as a business development professional, right? Those are the 3 things that we always think about. Do people know you? Do people like you? And do they trust you with their legal issues? I think, Kayla, did you have a comment? And then we'll go right to Sarah.
Yeah, I had one thing I wanted to add too, and just to reiterate the using your professors, and everything starts in school for sure. Utilize your professors in terms of a resume review. Two parts with this. One, they'll happily review your resumes for you. I'm not going to speak on behalf of all professors, but we're generally happy to review your resumes for you. And two, it helps your professors know that you're open to looking for a job, because maybe not everybody in the program is open at that time. Let your professors know, because we hear of things in the community, just like Bobby was saying. We know of people who are looking for positions, and we may know which firms and which attorneys are looking for more entry-level positions, or will be willing to train you because we've been in the community a slight bit of time.
And that warm introduction, there's nothing like it, right, Kayla? Oh
Yes.
boy. All right, Sarah, you're up.
All right, so I've got a couple questions now. One of them is she became a paralegal in her late 50s. How does she overcome age discrimination when searching for a position?
That's a great question. This comes up a lot. There's actually someone based out of Los Angeles. Her name is Sherry Eshrin, and she does a workshop and training on this specifically. Because, I mean, let's be frank, it is real. That does happen, right? I think that, Joy, maybe you want to touch on this a little bit, since you see a wide array of skill sets and backgrounds.
Yeah, I would go right back to, I mentioned earlier, transferable skills, that you may be new to this profession, but you are not a new professional, right? So you've been doing a lot for many, many years, whether it's customer service, dealing with difficult people are coming in from the medical field, right? And compassionate and impassionate, whatever those are, find those skills and strengths and spin it. I had someone on our team who came from corporate, but they really knew Excel, like pivot tables, things that I'm like, oh, you know how to do that, but from a total different job. But when they came over, oh my gosh, we can use that. And all of a sudden they went from a 0 experience to, oh, they have 10 years experience in Excel, right? So think about what you're bringing to the table. Don't doubt yourself. It may not be, oh, I was a paralegal for whatever, but you, again, bring it, turn it, and flip it on its head and saying, oh, I can bring this to my new job. This is all, even just, gosh, calming down people and being a calm force in a trial. Someone just said it to me, God, you're always calm under pressure. And I'm like, well, someone told me you're like a duck. You look like really smooth on the top, but underneath your feet are just going like that. So that is a skill to remain calm under pressure. So just don't undervalue what you've been doing all these years to date.
Thank you. Anyone else want to jump in? Patrice, yes?
I just want to ask about age discrimination as students are coming in, or younger students are coming and entering the field. Like what? Tell me a little bit about that.
That's interesting, right, Joy? Do you want to address that? Maybe they're so new, they're just graduated. What about that? How do they
discrimination of that? And again, going back to that, showing what you can do. Like now that you're coming in and you may be newer to the world in age-wise, but again, are you more technically proficient? Have you been doing computers since you were 4? I started out with an iPad. Really? Because I still don't know how to master my iPad, right? So there's certain things, because I'm not a Mac person, but there's certain things, again, figure it out. Or, you know what, your ability to want to learn. I'm eager, use the things that are inherent to you. So as I'm older and I am doing a lot more work, but you know what? I have more experience and I've dealt with so many situations on that end that I actually can see things in a much broader picture. I can, troubleshoot, or I actually think things in my mind. If you're younger, the opposite, it's like, you know what? I am really good at researching. I look stuff up all the time. I'm always learning new stuff. I love watching the Google, whatever, right? Like even if someone knows TikTok, I'm like, can you please show me how I'm supposed to collect this? I don't use TikTok. Let me see. So we all have something to provide. Just find what that is and own it. Be authentic. You mentioned it, Christine. Be authentic. Don't be a robot, and don't, but really show yourself. If you're interested, someone told me back in the day that they loved podcasting back when, this is early 2000s when we didn't really understand all that. But I'm like, oh my gosh, audio, video, we have a whole deposition support team that we've been trying to work with. We put that person there. They had no experience in legal, but they had that experience with audio and visual. So just, again, find what you can bring to the table and just offer it.
That's wonderful. And it really touches back to what Maureen said, right? Growth mindset. What can I do, right? If you're no in life, right? You're a no in everything. You got to fix this. Cheryl, do you have a comment?
Yeah, just very quickly. Working for a small law firm we would see somebody who is maybe younger, the younger generation than me, which doesn't take much, as possibly, you know, if this is your interest, having much better familiarity and comfort with social media, which we need for marketing. Like we don't hire our marketers, so we rely on things like Instagram and Facebook and, you know, all those things that you might have a particular interest in, and and untouched expertise that might be really appreciated in a small law firm setting.
Thank you, Cheryl. And I'm going to touch on that a little bit before we go to Maureen, because I too work for a small law firm. I mentioned at the outset of today's panel that I am a senior paralegal and business development director at my law firm, my small law firm. That title didn't exist at my law firm. I created that title. Why? Because I have the necessary skill set to be the business development director of our law firm. Everything marketing comes to me. Why? Because I'm creative and I like to do interesting things, and I'm a thinker. I want to think about, how can we do this? How could we land? What does our reputation look like in the community? How could we, improve that? How can we be good stewards in our community, right? So really think about that and be creative and innovative in the way that you make the case for yourself and your career. Maureen.
I just wanted to add, whether you are a new paralegal, whether you are a student, whether you're a transitioning paralegal, growth mindset is going to be your friend. The growth mindset means believing that you can develop your talents and your abilities through time and effort. You should be adaptable, you should be flexible, and you should be willing to put in the work. That's how you're going to make it in this field.
Yes, and Maureen and I talk about this quite a lot, growth mindset. It's actually a framework developed by Carol Dweck, and that's D-W-E-C-K, PhD, and she's an organizational psychologist. And so this is something that she's really explored, and she's written a book on this many years ago, and a lot of folks who are into leadership and leadership development are very aware of this. Growth Mindset by Carol Dweck, PhD. Cheryl, did you have your hand up to comment again, or you were okay? All right, Sarah, what was the second question?
Yes, so the second question was actually, where do I find information on various types of paralegal specializations and the types of compensation in those specializations, specifically in the San Diego area?
San Diego, oh, that's very interesting. Let's start with NALA because we have resources available. Patrice, do you want to share a little bit of what we do have available for folks? We have available.
Okay, so you're in San Diego. First of all, I'm going to kind of start right there, boots on the ground. We have our NALA affiliated association, the San Diego Association of Paralegals. So the first place to step your foot is you can do that right out the front door. So get engaged with them. They provide all sorts of NALA approved certified legal education events, social events, and a whole plethora of other opportunities for you to get engaged and volunteer. And then, of course, at the national level, you have NALA. And NALA, we really, first of all, we also support our local affiliated associations at the local level in lots of different ways. We come together on a national level to see how we can support and advance the paralegal profession across the nation. NALA, again, I'm going to just reiterate, we are the only nationally accredited association for providing the certified paralegal. That is a trademark certification, so I want you to note that. We also provide, I'm going to ask Sarah to talk a little bit about kind of professional development and ongoing. We have on-demand and live webinars that cover an expansive list of different educational topics. Sarah, do you want to mention those?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have everything ranging from legal ethics to general ethics, social media maintenance, how to, maintain your social media appearance, which is really important in the legal world. Everything down to, I'm trying to think, like Excel and Microsoft Office maintenance. So those kind of technical skills we were discussing, professional development, the self-study courses. a ton of resources, CP practice, CP review. One of my favorites that we discussed this year was the Second Amendment and how it was impacted by COVID. That was a really great webinar. So just a wide variety of, educational materials.
And just to further that a little bit more, I want to share too, because I myself and Maureen are both ACPs, Advanced Certified Paralegals through NALA. These are self-study modules where you can study certain and very specific. So I'm going to ask NALA's staff if they could to chat in the chat box with the audience the link to the NALA website that explains the ACP. I myself have 3 in discovery, e-discovery, and trial practice because it relates to my work as a litigation paralegal. And I can't guarantee this for everyone, but I myself experienced in my career when I earned my CP and my ACPs that I saw my compensation and value and contributions to the firm just have that kind of upward trajectory, if you will. I saw my pay increase, I saw bonuses, because I can then make the case that I am a valuable contributing firm citizen, and I should also be rewarded for my merits, right, and contributing in this meaningful way and profitable way. Cheryl, do you have another comment? Oh, by the way, also, we have facts and findings. If you're not a member of NALA, especially if we have a bunch of students on here, please join us as a student member. There's a discounted rate for students, right, versus active members. And you get access to NALA Commons, which is an online community of paralegals across, we're even beyond the United States now. We have people internationally, right? And we have Facts and Findings, which is our magazine specifically devoted to paralegal issues and paralegals. And coming out, I think in January, right, Kayla, we have the Career 101. Right? I think the Professional Development Committee is tasked with finding authors to provide, and I think, Bob, you're actually writing an article for that, aren't you? About, how is it that we can advance our careers? Cheryl, did you have a comment?
Yeah, so there's another product that NALA puts out that I think directly addresses the question, where I think the person might have been going is maybe show me the money. So NALA produces every 2 years a utilization and compensation survey. It's a survey report. So they survey paralegals from all over the country, and we base it on practice area, years of experience, and location. And so you can look as a NALA member at that utilization and compensation survey and see what immigration paralegals are earning as compared to corporate paralegals, as compared to litigation. I think it's also broken down by size of the firm. So that's specific information that NALA puts out every 2 years. And there are also other personnel companies, personal placement companies that also have it. I think Robert Half is another one, but I'm not sure of the specifics of what their surveys cover. So
Cheryl,
if you're interested in different areas.
Thank you, Cheryl. Do you happen to know if it's regional specific with regard to the compensation and utilization survey?
I don't know if it's broken out. Oh, Patrice knows, maybe.
Okay. Oh, you're muted.
Oh, you're on mute.
NALA does have that information available. We can actually drill down into a specific area if needed as well. We generally provide the report more on a large scale because we want to use that average to really advocate with employers to really understand. Just recently, we did a skills analysis, which was really focused on helping to improve the certified paralegal examination. But the utilization and compensation study is also out there for us to help advocate across the nation, that employers really understand both the skills that it takes to be a CP and really where we sit today and where we should sit in the future. Paralegals is the fastest growing job over the next to 2030 by 12%. Huge. This is just an open opportunity for people to really sharpen your skills, sharpen that saw, get the certification, get your CP, be ready, and use those utilization compensation studies to really drive your value. You've heard Joy talk about that, and Bobby talked about that, and Kayla and Maureen, all of you have been talking about that. So NALA's here to help support you in that process.
Thank you, Patrice. And I'm being mindful of time. Can you believe an hour and a half went by so quickly? Thank you all for spending your Saturday with us. Thank you to our esteemed panelists. While in the last few minutes together, I'd like to ask our three esteemed panelists, maybe for some pearls of wisdom, if you will. Those tips maybe you would have told yourself when you first graduated from paralegal school. What you know now, what would you have told yourself maybe when you first graduated? Let's start with Joy. Oh, you're now on mute.
There we go. I think this ties back to my thing I want to say to Cheryl, like imposter syndrome, right? That, you know, it's all about your point of view. So everyone says, oh, you're an expert in this. I'm like, you know, let me just stop everybody and say, first of all, the expert in the room is the person who knows more than the other person. Like if I'm sitting next to you and I know how to use my iPhone, guess what? All of a sudden I'm the expert on the iPhone. I'm like, but I don't really know how to use the iPhone, but I know how to make a phone call. But so don't underestimate or don't overestimate or overdefine expert, right? People turn to you and you're one step ahead of them, then you know who to go talk to, right? Just know that sometimes I look at myself more as a connector than an expert. But by connecting people and I'm listening, I don't just drop them. I continue to learn. And if someone asks me that question one time, I know someone's going to ask it again. So I will just keep building my expertise by connecting people and listening and just participating and being present and owning what I don't know, but figuring out what I do know. So I don't know this, but I do know who to call. I'll be right back. And then we all learn together. So if you only don't know something once, so I feel like that you're going to just keep learning and then you'll know it. So.
Love that mindset. Attitude is everything in a lifelong learner. Bobby, what about you?
I like to piggyback off of what Joy Morales said, because attitude can be everything. You can either look at a glass of water as either half full or half empty. And I hope that everybody comes away from this that you have to look at the glass as half full. Always look at it with a can-do attitude, and being a team player in no matter what environment, small law firm, mid-sized law firm, large law firm, team player is key. Communication is key. And last but not least, you should always embrace new technologies. And again, there's nothing wrong with admitting that you don't know a product or you don't know about a new software, but you can have this can-do attitude like, well, I may not know that's new software, but I can totally learn it fast. And I would like to partner with this audience to say that standing still is not an option. You have to keep moving forward.
Thank you for that. And that is just a little bit of a touch back to Bobby's recent episode, interviewed by our former NALA president, Jill Francisco, on the Paralegal Voice, featured on the Legal Talk Network. And Maureen, before I wrap us up and then hand it over to Patrice for some closing remarks.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for taking the time and investing in yourself. If it's one thing that I would encourage new paralegals, students, transitioning paralegals, invest in yourself because you're worth it and you are a value to this community. Don't be intimidated because you don't have the years of experience or you don't know a specific thing, as Joy and Bobby have said. Know that you can develop, have that growth mindset set and be dynamic. You can do it, and you have NALA here to support you.
Fantastic. So again, thank you so much to Maureen Washington, ACP, CAS, Professor Bobby Remus, and last but not least, Joy Morale, paralegal turned entrepreneur who hires paralegals. How about that? On behalf of NALA and Kayla Glaros and Cheryl Nodarse and myself, Christine Custodio Suero, we thank you and we wish you all the best in your journey. So you've graduated, now what? It's up to you.
So wonderful. Like we could stay on here for hours, couldn't we? So I just want to encourage everyone to look for additional student and new paralegal and transitioning paralegal live stream discussions and on our NALA YouTube channel for more. Also, you know, kind of be on the lookout for some things like little video snippets and how-tos. We heard things like your resume and your interviews, and I will tell you that our great team NALA team has some great things in store for the future. So we're looking forward to that. Be on the lookout. The other thing I wanted to let you know is that you will receive a survey from us, And your survey, your experience and your response is so important. You know, we can have some great ideas, but that may not be what you need. That may not be just in time with the right information, with the right presenter, with the right expertise. We need to hear from you. So please respond to the survey that you received. The other thing that I wanted to know is just that you can visit NALA's website at www.nala.org. We've also included a whole bunch of links in our chat session. If you have any questions, you can always call NALA at 918-587-6828, or you can email nalanet@nala.org. Thanks so much, everyone, for joining us, and this has just been a fabulous discussion. Thanks again, and we wish you all well. Bye-bye.